we are going to be starting chapter 10. And so we are combining 2 lessons into today. And it's going to be 10.1, which is stem and leaf plots, and 10.2, which is histograms. So these are 2 types of graphs that you can use to show your data that you have collected. So this first page is going to be about stem and leaf plots, and then the second page is going to be about histograms. So a stem and leaf plot uses the digits of data values to organize a data set. So a stem and leaf plot. It uses the digits of data values to organize a data set. So you can see over on the right, this is an example of a stem and leaf plot. It has stem on the left, leaf on the right. And so this 2 and this 0, that represents 20. This 2 and this 1 represents 21, 22, 25, 27. They just organize it so that they don't have to put the first digit every single time. Okay, so this would represent 59. So each data value is broken into a stem, which is the left side, the numbers on the left, and a leaf, which is the digits on the right side of our vertical line, which is our up and down line right there. And the key explains what the stems and leaves represent. So this shows you this 2 line 0 means 20. Okay, so every stem and leaf plot should have a key. So if we wanted to make our own, okay, we have the length of 12 cell phone calls over on the right on this first example. First step we need to do if we want to make a stem and leaf plot is to order the data from least to greatest. Okay, so I'm going to cross them off as I go. So even though it has dates, the dates do not matter. I'm not even going to look at those. All I want is the length of the cell phone calls, which is the minutes on the right. So I would start with 2, 3, 5, and 6. 2, 3, 5, and 6. Then I would do 10, 14, and 18. 10, 14, 18. And then we have 23, 23. And then 30, 36, 55. 30, 36, 55. And I should have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I do. And next, I just make my stem and leaf plot like we have up in this right corner right here. So I'm going to start like this, and I'm going to have stem and a leaf. So first of all, I have numbers that are 1 digit, and that would be all of these ones. And so my stem would be 0 for those. Okay. And then I would just put, so I would have 2, 3, 5, and 6. I would make sure you leave enough room between them so it doesn't look like 23 or 56 or 35. Leave enough room so that there's a space between them. Next, we have our tens right there. And so there's going to be a 1 on the left side to represent that it's the tens place, and to represent that all of these are 10. And then we would write a 0, because that's for 10. 14, or no, just kidding. A 4, that would represent 14. And an 8, that would represent 18. Next, we have our 2s. And so I'd put a 2 there. And then there's 2 23s, so I'd put a 3 and a 3. Next, we have our 30s. And so we would put a 3. And then to represent 30, we would put a 0 and then a 6 for 36. And then our last one that I ran out of room for is 55. And so we'd put a 5 there and a 5 there to represent 55. Okay. So your stem and leaf plot should look something like, it should look exactly like that. Okay. So again, this is just another way to organize your data to make it look a little nicer and to make it so that we can analyze it better. So on this next one, we're doing the same thing. Okay. First thing we have to do is put them in order from least to greatest. So I can see right away I have 3 ones. So 1, 1, 1. And I have 2, 2. No 3s, but there's a 4 and 2 5s. So 4, 5, 5. And then we go up to 7 and then 12. And then we have 20, 23, and 27. 20, 23, and 27. And then 30, 32, 33. I missed one up. Okay. 30, 32, and 33. Then we have 38 and 40. And then 44 and 47. So we should have 20. Go ahead and count and make sure you have 20. Okay, I have 20. So next, make your stem and leaf plot. Stem and a leaf. So right away, I can see all of these are going to go in my first column, or in my first row, because they're all 1 digits. And then we have this one that's in the 10s. And then we have all of the ones that are in our 20s. And then we have our 30s. And then we have our 40s. So you should organize them in some way so that you know where each of them are going to go. And so I know I have 0. Let me see. Then we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so with my 0, I have all of the ones that I highlighted in yellow. So we're going to have 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, 5, 5, 7. We're going to have all those listed. And then for our 10s, we're just going to put 2 to represent 12. Because our 10 is on the left side, and our 2 is on the right side. So then for our 20s, we have a 20, 23, and 27. So I'm going to put 0, 3, and 7. Then for our 30s, we have 30, 32, 33, and 38. So I'm going to put 0, 2, 3, and 8. And then last, we have our 40s, and we have 40, 44, and 47. So I'm going to put 0, 4, and 7. And that's our stem and leaf plot for this one. Okay. If you want to check to make sure you have all 20, go ahead and count. And we do. So, next question. This stem and leaf plot shows student test scores. How many students scored less than 80 points? So I have to find 80 points on there. So we know that 80 represents 80. So this is 81, 81, 83, 84, 84, 86, and so on. Well, we want to know who scored less than 80 points. So that would be this person and all of these. Okay. This person scored a 66. This person scored a 70. They scored 75, 77, 78. Okay. So if I count these up, it would be 5. 5 students scored less than 80 points. Next question says, how many students scored at least 90 points? So if we're saying at least 90 points, we want every student that scored 90 points or more. So that would be these 4. So we'd write 4. This question wants to know the median of the data. Remember, median is the middle, so we need to find the middle number. So I'm going to cross these off as I go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Until I get to the middle. And I'm going to count to make sure I have the same amount on the left side, crossed off as the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I do. So, remember what happens if I have 2? I have to add them and divide by 2. But since they're the same number, I know that it's just 4. Next, it's asking the range of the data, which is the biggest minus the smallest. So find your biggest number and your smallest number. So my biggest, remember that's not 0, that is 100, and my smallest is 66. So 100 minus 66 equals 34. So my answer is 34. And then last, what is the mode of the data? I need to find the numbers that occur the most. So I can see 81 happens twice, 84 happens twice, and 88 happens twice. So the mode is all 3 of those, 81, 84, and 88. All right, flip your page over, and now we are moving on to histograms. So a histogram is a bar graph that shows the frequency of data values in intervals of the same size. So a histogram, it is very similar to a bar graph. So you can see on the right that it looks like a bar graph, but there's no space in between. Usually when you have a bar graph, it would look something like this with spaces, but there's no space. Okay, they're right up next to each other. And what makes it a histogram is these numbers down here. There's not just one set number. Those are intervals. Okay, so the frequency of CDs owned, anyone with 0 to 9, there were 4 of them because that's how far up it went. Okay. So that's the difference between a histogram and a bar graph. Bar graphs would just have one number. They would just have like 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 or something like that. Whereas histograms are intervals, which is what these are. All right. So we're going to be creating a histogram. The frequency table shows the numbers of laps, just ignore my phone, that people in a swimming class completed today. And we're going to display the data in a histogram. So these are the number of laps that people swam. Okay? So first we got to draw and label the axes. So we have our, on the right, it's going to say frequency. And then on the bottom, we're going to have, stop ringing, number of laps. Okay. So my number of laps is right here, and I'm going to write them down. So on this first one, I have 1 to 3, then I have 4 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12, and then 13 to 15. Okay. So I can see over on my right side, my frequency, it goes up to 11. So I need the left side to go up to 11. So I'm going to go up, this is 0, I'm going to do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay. So there were 11 people that swam 1 to 3 laps. So that means my 1 to 3 laps has to go up to 11, right in between 10 and 12. Okay. 4 people swam 4 to 6 laps. So my 4 to 6 Has to go up to 4 like that. 0 people swam 7 to 9 laps, so I don't do anything with the 7 to 9 right here. This just stays blank. 3 people swam 10 to 12, so I would go up to 3. And then 6 people swam 13 to 15, so 13 to 15 has to go up to 6. So that would be my histogram. Okay. So all you do is copy what's in the table and create a histogram using it. All right. Next, we're going to do the same thing, except we are going to use the ages of people riding a roller coaster. So on the left side, I'm going to do frequency. And then on the bottom, I'm going to write ages. But leave room for the intervals. Okay, so my ages, or for my intervals, I'm going to have 10 to 19. Then I have 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, and then 50 to 59. This one has to go up to 16 because that's the oldest. That's how many people are 10 to 19. And so I'm going to go up by 2s again. So do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So there were 16 people that were 10 and 19 years old. So that's going to go all the way to the top. Next, for our people that were 20 to 29 years old, there were 11 of them. So that's going to go right in between 10 and 12. For my students that were 30 to 39 years old, there's 5 of them. So 5 is going to go right in between 4 to 6. And then for my people that were 40 to 49 years old, there's 2 of them. So that's going to go down there. And then for my people that were 50 to 59 years old, there are 4 of them. So that's going to go up to 4. So it should look something like that. And then lastly, the histogram shows the number of hours that students in a class slept last night. So we can see people, this is 0 to 3 hours, 4 to 7 hours, 8 to 11 hours, and 12 to 15 hours. And then on the left, it shows how many people slept in those intervals. So the first question says, how many students slept at least 8 hours? If it's saying at least 8 hours, we want everyone with 8 and more. So all of these combined. So there were 8 people that slept 8 to 11 hours, and there were 3 people that slept 12 to 15 hours. And so if I add those together, I would get 11. So 11 students slept at least 8 hours. And then the next question says, how many students slept less than 12 hours? Well, here's my 12 hours. And so I don't want that because I want how many students slept less than that. So I'm going to look at all 3 of these intervals. So we know 8 people slept 8 to 11. 8 people slept 4 to 7. And then 2 people slept 0 to 3. So I have to add all of those up. 8 plus 8 plus 2. And I would get 18 students. And then the last question says, do we know how many students slept 5 hours? Okay. So we know that 8 people slept 4 to 7 hours, but we do not know how many people slept 5 hours. Okay. It could be all 8 of those students slept 5 hours, or it could be none of them. It could be that all 8 of them slept 4 or 6 or 7 hours. So no, we do not know how many students slept 5 hours.